Welcome to Muskegon, Michigan, home of the Muskegon-Lakeshore chapter of the American Guild of Organists. My name is Michael Match, and I am currently serving as dean. Like every organization, we were striving to create some digital content for our members, and we figured if we had to use the camera, we might as well bring audiences where they could never go in person, such as into the organ chambers, down to the blower room, and high above the pipes, on a virtual organ crawl featuring some of the area's instruments. With guidance of our local experts in organ tuning and maintenance, we were able to capture some very interesting aspects of these instruments. Hello, and thank you for joining us. We are here at First Presbyterian Church in Grand Haven, Michigan, and I'm here with Bill Swem, who is the organ technician, and we're going to talk about this instrument, and we'll start with the console. So, Bill?
Yeah, it's a 4-manual Austin organ, and with an exposed grate and an exposed antiphonal division. The wire and swell are both under expression. If you look up to the back, you can see the antiphonal division. I have a very nice hooded trumpet. It's one of the better ones around. And then off to the left is the exposed grate division. Now 90% of the grate is outside here where you can see it, and the balance of it is behind the grill up there, as well as the pedal division. Now this particular console is multiplexed, which basically means all the keyboard inputs, all the piston inputs, and the stop inputs go into an encoder, and the computer encodes it and then transmits it via an Ethernet cable. So this whole organ runs on 8 wires. Now because this organ is multiplexed, it gives you the ability to have record and playback, which is what this little unit here does. This is a sequencer, and it will capture every stop, every piston input, and every key input, and you can record and play back anything you want. I'll demonstrate that. Which that can be a very nice feature. You can record your music and then sit out in the congregation and see what it sounds like. So I was saying that everything is encoded. These circuit cards, every key, every piston, and every stop has an input here. And this is the computer that records it. And you can kind of see that this console on the inside is really quite empty. There's not much here. And some of the organs we'll visit, we'll open them up and you'll see the difference on the quantity of the mechanical action. So it goes on an Ethernet cable. You've got 4 manuals of information, basically just traveling across a computer wire like you have on your router. So all this console requires is a 110 input and a Ethernet cable. And Rob here can put extensions on it, regular extensions for Ethernet, and put this console anywhere in the sanctuary he wants.
And it moves quite easily, right?
Yes,
Even
it moves very easily.
One person can move.
One person can move this console.
Yes, and that all makes that possible, right?
Yes. So right now we're inside the organ chest, and an Austin is unique in a sense that they're built in such a way that you can actually physically go inside the organ and work on it. You don't have to take bottom boards down to access. This piece right here is the reservoir. And we're looking at it from the inside, and it controls the air regulator right here to shut the wind off when it's at the proper pressure. So go ahead and turn the organ on, and as the organ comes up, you'll see that the reservoir will begin to move, and as it moves, it will shut the airflow down and regulate the amount of air that comes in here. So go ahead and turn the organ on, Guy. Kind of a unique experience being in here because you actually feel the pressure on your ears.
Right.
So it's right now we just descended a few feet. So anyway, go ahead and play something up above here. Every one of these valves that you see up in the ceiling there's a pipe above those valves. And this is the primary action, and as you play a key, it activates those pneumatics, which pulls on this tracker rod and opens up the corresponding valve. The pneumatics on the end are your stop actions. When those are activated, it pulls on the silver rod, which acts as a lever, so that the valve will open. So as a technician, this one is kind of nice. When there's a problem, you can actually come inside and physically look and watch at what's happening. Now that we're in here, we can't get out until the organ is turned off. Because even though it's only 4 or 5 inches of wind pressure on that large of a door surface, you can't hardly open it. Okay. Yeah, as soon as the pressure releases, you can open this, pull on it, and you'll know when.
All right.
So this is part of the grate and pedal division. This is behind the grill. This is all exposed, there is no expression. So you're looking behind the grate exposed division right here. And you can see down there in front of the choir, those are the choir shades. And then the electronics that run the organ.
Too spotty.
So that's a 16-foot extension off the swell reed, which also plays in the pedal. And you can see how it is mitered because the ceiling isn't tall enough for it. So it's quite common to miter the pipe, just kind of like you would a trumpet. And this Austin organ, Jim Lau put in a 32-foot pedal extension, and that's what this unit here does. And just extend some of their pedal bases on down. And the division to this way is the choir division. So it's a little hard to see because most organs, especially Austins, they tend to be a little bit tight inside. But this division has approximately, it's 8-9 ranks. And can you see up here or not? This fan type unit is how Austin did the tremolo. And then on through this area here is where the swell is. So in the swell division, they've got 3 sets of reeds. The mixture is behind the reed. And then you got your principals and your flutes. And then up high here, you got your voxomana in a box. And Guy, are you trying a swell tremolo? And then play something on the flute. And away I go. So the tremolo run is a fan style tremolo. You just hear in the organ through a fan. to St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Muskegon, Michigan, and they have a 1928 Austin organ, and also in 1980 Reuter added the gallery division, and in 2009 the console, the insides of it were completely refurbished by the Lauk Organ Company out of Otsego, Michigan. Okay, this organ also has a Zimbel stern that sits right out in the open on top, which makes it real convenient to show you how they work. Basically it has two weights on a rotating arm that when you turn it on, it just strikes the bell as it passes by. Now this organ from, from First Presbyterian Spring Lake, or Grand Haven, they had draw knobs. This one has stop tabs, and also has a simple memory level system. It has 128 levels of memory that you scroll up through them one at a time. And you've got 5 divisions: swell, choir, grate, pedal, and gallery. And one interesting story about the gallery is the French horn apparently was found after being stored in the basement for about 50 years and was re-added on one of the renovations to the organ, and that is currently up in the gallery division. And one of the interesting things that was discovered when they were doing a renovation is these wooden grill works were uncovered in 1928, and if you look carefully through them, you can see the swell shades. And I hope you can see them opening and closing, but shades were installed behind them and they were utilized to help get the sound out of the chancel. And on the right side of the chancel is the grate and choir. The grate is exposed behind the chancel and the choir is enclosed, and you can still see the same type of grill work that was discovered when they did the renovation. And then in the 1980s, in the back of the church, the Reuter Organ Company installed the gallery division. And you see how they framed it around their stained glass window. And off the front of the gallery, you can see that the entremade, and then right below it, you can see some exposed pipes there. That is part of the pedal division that was added. Okay. And we're walking inside the swell chest, and this one is quite large, where you can actually stand up and you still can't reach the pipes that are above. And that's because this particular division is in 2 levels. You've got a lower swell and an upper swell. Now if you can see down to the floor, you can see the opening there, and that is access into the lower swell, which you have to crawl into to get to. Here you're looking at the choir division, which also has a fan-style tremolo. And through that door on the far wall is access to the grate division. Another thing in the swell division you can see, because of the shape of the ceiling of the church, here again they had to miter some pipes, and they just actually mitered them to match the angle of the ceiling. Others, they just did a right turn. And then off this way here, through the expression, is where the grate sits, and that is exposed, but it is behind a facade outside and those decorative grills that you saw earlier. Here. On the right side of the chancel, behind this decorative grill, you can see faintly through the holes on the left there, the grate pipes. The grate is not under expression, so it's considered exposed, even though it's not out where you can see it. And then the choir sits behind the grate, which we were just in, and you saw, the shades that speak out into the grate division.
name is Guy Vanderwegen. I've been working with pipe organs for approximately 46 years. This particular instrument, 1928 molar, expanded in 1965. All the exposed pipework was added at that point. It has a variety of reed stops, which the swell organ would be on this side, the choir would be on that side, the grate both sides, okay? Pedal primarily both sides as well, enclosed. And let's see. Has a lot of nice Celeste. And in the choir, principal chorus, pretty standard. It's just a great general pipe organ that fits all needs for this particular parish. And I think they used it well, they've maintained it well, and it'll go for years. It'll go for years.
Are there some unique things to this console that we might not see anywhere else, or?
Maybe the divisional cancels, is that? do I say
Yes,
those?
yeah, we have, okay, for instance, you have these little things here are all cancels under each, they're divisional cancels, okay? So you just push the tab down, or you can, of course, use the general cancel.
So tell me about, this looks like some sort of modesty wall or screen that looks
I think
removable.
this is removable for concerts.
Okay.
Yeah, it just picks up.
So the organ
For
is,
recitals, yeah.
the console is definitely stationary where
It's
it is.
definitely stationary.
Okay, so that allows the congregation or the audience a bit of a view of the
Absolutely.
organist and the console.
Organist, yeah, playing the program. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Can you register something on the grate, for example, and go between and show us the sound properties, the difference between both those
Between
keyboards?
the grate and the yeah. Sure can. Okay, the grate, of course, I'll just play a diapason on the flute. Gives you a little bit of contrast between.
Yeah, looking up at the grate exposed, you can see several different styles of pipes in this organ. The blue cap pipes up there is the Great Borden, or the 8-foot flute. It's not typically painted blue, but they did that to kind of highlight it. The cone-shaped cap up there is your 4-foot copper flute. And then if you look over to the right at the reed, it's got a very slender resonator on it with a bell on top.
Okay, this is the base end of the 32-foot. I believe it's a sub-base. And above here would be the bombard. That's the 16-foot bombard.
And then this is the ladder you travel to
That's
get.
the ladder you go up into the choir, correct? The 8-foot bombard is near the ceiling. It's up higher. So that would require another ladder. It's a little bit tight.
Yeah. This is what organ tuners have to go through to get.
Yeah. That's why we see chiropractors. No light, gotta work. Let's see if we can see that. Oh, they didn't show it. Okay, I'll let you in here. Here we've entered the blower room. This is an old Moeller kinetic blower. It's actually made out of wood. And once you come around the corner, you can see the motor that drives it. And on top of it is the static reservoir, which pre-regulates the air before it goes to the organ. That motor is an old timer. It's been around quite a while. The newer blowers, that motor would be half the size it is now for the same horsepower. The bearings are still good. It coasts a long time coming down, but it's actually a wooden blower housing. That's something that Moeller used. Very efficient. It produces a lot of air.
So, Guy, do you want to tell us about what we are looking at right now?
This is a combination action, Sendyne combination. It replaced a remote capture action, which was all pneumatic, and the leather was getting bad, and it was this was just a more economical and better way to go, so we could eliminate the old system and put it all in one nice panel.
And so what does this do for the organist?
Basically, they can change stops, register stops on all their pistons. That's primarily the whole function of the thing.
And how does this relate to what we saw at the back of the console at First Presbyterian that had all of the electronics in it?
Okay, basically it's all solid state, you might say. That is too, to a point, but I think they use Ethernet, I believe, that the cable, which is a tiny cable. This is not. This has actual 61 wires coming down for all the stops, divisions. So it's similar that it uses digital components, but it's this is just a combination action. Okay. So.
first Congregational church in Muskegon, the 1955 three-manual Kilgan organ. The grate and choir is on the left side of the chancel, and the swell is on the right. And in this organ, all three divisions are under expression. It's a combination draw-knob tilt tablet console, and it has a computerized system in it, so it is driven over an Ethernet cable, like First Presbyterian in Grand Haven. The difference with this one is it's a sequencer, rather than being in a drawer and running through the MIDI system, is internal. It's built right into the computer on this organ. Okay, the Peterson sequencer on this is capable of storing, I believe, about 60 songs. And to access the files, you just hit play, and then you can stroke through, file up or down. And it will record in real time as you practice. And also you can record a song and actually play a duet with yourself if you were so inclined to do so. One of the features this organ used to have, and it is still capable of it, is it had pedal to combinations to your manual, so you could hook your pedal toe studs up to your choir divisional pistons. And this one you could select it on the grate or the swell as well. And it also had what's called a reed cutout. And if you turned that on, your reeds wouldn't work. It just, it's exactly what it says, it cut them out. So if they were severely out of tune and you're using a crescendo or your sforzando, you could turn the reeds off. And the other thing it has a set of Deegan chimes, and which is volume control for them is accessible on the console. So you can have, makes a slight difference. But then they're also behind expression, so you have that as well. And you can express the chimes.
And expression means, again, that those shades open and close.
The shades are opening and closing, yes.
And what about the holes in the stop jam there?
That was prepared for additional draw knobs.
So we're ready for expansion someday.
You were ready for expansion. Yeah, the previous organists had some ideas of things they would have liked to have added over time. But it's one of the things that was prepared for but never done.
Okay. And we also have a console which is easily movable.
It's on a dolly, and here again it's over an Ethernet cable, so you can place it anywhere in the sanctuary, it'll fit. This is the access to the swell chamber up in the corner. Every organ has different access points and different ways to get in. Some you can walk in through a door, which is real convenient. This one, you have to open a trap door and climb in. Some have drop-down ladders. Others, you have to remove panels and crawl in. For the most part, none of them are very easy to get in and out of. It seems the builders like to pack them as tight as they can. So, and of course, a lot of organists want as many ranks as they can possibly get. So it's usually a very crowded place to be. The one thing you have to be careful of and mindful when you're moving about through an organ chamber is that you never make contact with the organ pipes, especially the smaller ones. You know, the larger pedal pipes and the wood pipes are very durable, but the regular pipes on your principals and strings and reeds are very, the metal is soft and easily broken or dented. So we are in the swell division at the Congregational church, and over against the back wall, if you can see, over here, that is the 4-foot clarion, and that is also a shared stop in the pedal. And further over this way is the top end of the pedal boardon, and those pipes are of a wood construction. Then next to it, the first rank on the chest there back by the wall is their 8-foot pagato. And then you've got your 4-foot or your 8-foot roar flute. And that plays at both 8 and 4-foot pitches. And the bass octave you can see is made out of wood, and then the rest of it is a soft metal flute with a cap, and that chimney on it is hollow. The next to that is the 4-foot principal. And then you've got your strings, your solitional and your celeste, and then your 8-foot diapason, and then a 3-rank mixture. And then out front here is the trumpet, and a little set right next to it is the top end of the clarion, and the reason it's on the main chest is because that portion of the set is what's considered straight. It just plays off the main chest primary. Since the bottom half of the clarion plays in the pedal, it's on a unit chest. And then over against the back wall is a 16-foot extension off the fagot for the pedal. And then on around the corner is a box amanda that was added. It's a very, very tight place to work. There's not a whole lot of extra space. And then over this way is a 16-foot pedal board. And that plays at 16, 8, and 4-foot pitches, so it's a 56-note set. And this is the, a little hard to see, but the mouths of the 16-foot pedal board. And if you see next to the toe, a little slide there with a hole in it. You can slide that in and out, and that increases or decreases the airflow to the pipe. And that's the way you can regulate the volume a little bit. The other side is so tight that it's really not practical to even try to bring a camera up there.
That little tiny offset chest?
That is the top end of the 8-foot roar flute, and that would be your top end of the 2-foot piccolo. This is the entrance to the blower room here, and you can see the louvers on the bottom of the door to allow for airflow. As the organ uses more volume of air than would be allowed, to travel underneath the door, obviously, so it just reduces the stress on the machine. And if you come on in, you can see the blower. So it's this old, probably a Spencer style blower, and quite large output on it. It's more of a high-speed blower, and with the static reservoir on top, which again pre-regulates the air to the organ. And that helps keep the organ from having too much wind shake. When you hit a big chord, the difference between the static and your regular chest pressure is usually only 1 to 2 inches. I'll slide under here and we'll turn it on.